And we're off. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Bennett from Dolphin here in Worcester, and I'm joined today by
Stacy from RNIB Bookshare.
Super. Thank you. So we're going to be looking at Easy Reader, the app, but I think it'd be great if Stacy could tell us a little bit about the Bookshare service, what it offers and who it's for. So please take it away, Stacy.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, everybody. I hope you're all keeping well. So RNIB Bookshare is essentially a digital library. So it hosts a fabulous collection of over 500,000 books, so 515,000 books available at the moment and growing every day. The books are available to download in a variety of different accessible formats. They can be downloaded by anybody with a print disability currently studying in education. So if you have a print disability and you're of any age, so it can be, as young as early learning literacy or adult education, any age at all has the right to join RNIB Bookshare, and it is completely free. So if you are supporting a learner, you can also join RNIB Bookshare to help that learner get the materials that they need. So the way that it works is that the school or education institution would join RNIB Bookshare through the web service and would then add their learners to it so that their learners could have independent access to the collection as well. We've extended the way that you can access Bookshare due to COVID-19. So we're asking that if parents want to join to help their learner with the print disability, if they could please contact us via our email and send us proof of disability. And the reason we do that is because when you join through an institution, that institution is verifying to us that they are only adding members that have a qualifying print disability. So when we're doing it with just a parent, we don't have that verification. So we just ask for proof of disability, and it can be a certificate or a doctor's note, just anything that says the name of the learner and their condition. So once you have access to RNIB Bookshare, either as a learner or staff member or parent, then you can have access to these 515,000 books and 300,000 3,000 accessible images. So that's described images. So if you are searching for a book on RNIB Bookshare and it isn't there, then we also have a book request feature. So you can send, if your book doesn't pop up, there's a button there. You can click it and it'll say send to, it basically sends it to my team, who will then contact the publisher on your behalf and hopefully get the book added. So we do work with about 850 publishers and imprints, and there's more joining every day. So we have a vast variety of content up there. So there's a lot of stuff that's education based, obviously. And there's also a lot of leisure reading titles up there as well, because obviously learning through reading itself is a very useful tool. So yeah, they're available over 500,000 for free for any learner with a print disability. So just to clarify, that can cover visual impairment, dyslexia, a whole raft of different impairments. It would not cover, for example, somebody for whom English is a second language. It's for people who find it difficult or they are inhibited from being able to read a printed book. So I think that's the overview of RNIB Bookshare. So now I'll pass to Steve to see how we can access it.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'll just switch my camera, so bear with me because it will focus a little bit while I do that. So I've got an iPad in front of me. This could be one of those clever iPods, an iPad or an iPhone. It could be an Android phone, an Android tablet or a Chromebook. They all work. And the app is 99.9% identical in the way that it looks, and the features are present for you as well. So I'll just tap on the Easy Reader icon, and it was running previously, so it's popped up available for me here. So the app is absolutely free, all right? You can download it from the App or the Play Store, You have to open a Dolphin account when you actually download it. If you have students who want to use it at school and that's not possible for them to have an email which is external, that really isn't a problem. Email me and I will make accounts for you to use. It's not the contact details of the person that we're interested in, it's having a reference point for stuff that's just coming available now and will come later. So it doesn't matter if you've got 1 or 100 or 20,000 students, just email me and we'll be able to set up those accounts for you. So if you're using it at home or you've got individual students who have got it, then yeah, you can use your email address if you wish. When you pop that into the Dolphin account, it will work for 7 days, and within that time, you need to verify the link in the email which we send you for it to work beyond the 7 days. It's free, it will always be free, there is no charge, it's not why we're doing it, okay? So what I'll do is I'll just pop up the sidebar, which I can drag in from the side, or I can actually tap on the top left-hand corner where it opens up this bookshelf option here. So reading from the top, I have the last book that I opened, I have my books, and then underneath that, just ignore Easy Reader Share, this is a beta version, and then you'll see Manage My Libraries. So in here I have a Belgian library, Anderslezen, and I'll explain why shortly. Then EPUB, Project Gutenberg, that's free stuff, and it tends to be out of copyright, so Victor Hugo, Shakespeare, Dickens, that type of stuff. Then underneath that I have RNIB Bookshare and RNIB Reading Services. So what I'm going to do is tap on the Belgian library, so if I just tap now, and what it's asking me to do is put in my username and my password. Now, I don't have this for this one, but it's a good demonstration of what will happen the first time that you try to log into RNIB Bookshare. Having put your username and password in the second time, it will look like this. When I touch, it will take me straight into the library. And then here I will see the categories search at the top, which is denoted by the edit area, my reading list, my history, latest, popular, browse by category or browse by grade. So if I'm interested in a category, if I touch that, it expands up, and RNIB have made a super job of cataloguing all the books so that people can find them. So if I want to go back, I pull that down and I'll touch on back. And then if I look in grade, then we've got the grades in there right up to adult learners, key stages are sat at the bottom, and then year 10, fourth form, key stage 4 are all listed. If I was to touch on one of those, I'll randomly pick year 7, first form, key stage 3, then a number of books will become available in one of 2 formats, either EPUB or PDF. Okay, and that will be denoted by the letters there. I can see it says PDF for this Julia Golding Rapid Plus 9.2 second chance Rapid Plus. If I come a little bit further down, I can see Religious Studies Practice Exercise 13 Plus. It's also a PDF, and then below that there's an EPUB, Discovering Religions, etc. So they're actually marked set differently, and that's because you have a slightly different user experience when you're reading them, and I'll show you that shortly. With so many books in this particular library, it might be difficult to find the book that you're interested in going through the cataloguing which RNIB have made available. So we have this search box which is sat at the top here. So if I'm looking for a particular book, so let's say at GCSE,
HISTORYBOYS.
We're doing the History Boys. I think it's by Steve Bennett. What it's done is it's come up with all of the incidences of the word History Boys, and I can see that there's a couple of different instances, and at the top I have an EPUB. So if I were to tap on that element, then I'm going to get this pop-up, book information comes up, where it gives me a brief synopsis of the book, the ISBN, who's the publisher, and the copyright version, etc. And underneath the title of the book, I see there's a download button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on the download button. And because I've got the teacher account, I have to assign it to a particular student. So I'm going to type it to Stella student. Now I can see that the History Boys' little track bar has appeared. It very quickly traveled across, and the book now has been downloaded. Okay, EPUB books come in very quickly. They're very text-based. Some of the PDFs come in slower, but it's still not very long at all. Because they're slower because some tend to have images in there. Now that book is now in my book list, which we looked at earlier, or I can tap here. Okay, and when I do that, it offers me the download button is now turned into an open button, and I have the book available to me here now. All right, so I'll just whiz forward in the book a couple of pages, and I've got the text. So I have white background, I have black text, and the highlight of it at the moment is a green color. If this text is too small, then I move my fingers apart on the screen and it will make the text larger, and it will word wrap the text so that I continue to have a vertical reading experience. If I'm a voiceover user or I'm using TalkBack, the app will work absolutely perfectly with those two applications. I haven't turned it on here, but what I'm hoping to do is describing the location of the buttons that I'm pressing. If I did turn it on, I'd have to wait for VoiceOver to speak before I could speak, and it would just take a little bit longer. So I've got the text available to me there. The paragraph is highlighted in yellow, and the spoken word is highlighted in green, and I've got it at a particular size. So what I'm going to do is just press the play triangle, which is at the bottom of the screen.
Use to the Peters, Fraser and
Oh, that's quite painful. The text is being read out very slowly, and we'll look at how to change that. But the spoken word is being highlighted in green within there. So if I come to the next paragraph, which I can touch, then it highlights that particular paragraph separately. Okay, so some books actually highlight to the sentence as well, so you can do that. So you can move without having to wait for the speech to get there, and then you can touch in that location and it will move the center to there. So let's have a look at how we can further tailor that text. So at the top right hand side, I can see the letter A, and when I tap on that, okay, it brings up the text settings for the app. So here I can change the text size. We're using a trackbar, which we did with our fingers earlier. I can change the text font. So if I don't like this particular font, then there's a number of other options available for me, including the Open Dyslexia font and also the Open Sans as well. I'll just go back. I can change the margin, I can change the line spacing, and I can change the letter spacing if I wish. And I can also change the theme. So if I want to impose a particular theme, I want light blue background, then I'll select that one, and we can see instantly behind that it's changed to that as well. Now I'll just select no theme, because what I wanted to show you underneath that is here I can change the text color, the background color, the sentence color, highlight, and the word highlight color as well. So let's have a different color for my word highlight. Let's use an orange color. All right, let's go back. And we can see that behind the text settings box that it's actually changed now. I absolutely love the Bookshare service from RNIB, and the reason I do is because if you make the book in such an accessible way, everybody gets to read it in the player the way that suits their print impairment. So all we have to do is just put a few settings in here. So if you like a pale yellow background at the front, but you like to see green text, and if you wanted it to be an orange highlight, or if you want the sentence to be in a particular blue, any permutation is available here, including the margin, the line space, and the letter spacing as well. They can all be changed along with the font. You make the book once, and then you render it on the player to suit the print impairment of the particular user. So it's absolutely brilliant. We have had a few calls from customers who've actually changed the text to white. and in the background, and of course the text disappears. So we have this great reset to default button, which is sat at the bottom, which takes it back to the way that it was originally sent to you. So just in case, that's sat at the bottom there. I'll just close that. And now we'll look at those audio settings. So adjacent to the letter A for the settings is the speakers with the sound waves coming from it, which I'll just tap now. And we can see it says audio settings. So here you can pick the particular voice, and it's a very personal thing. So on the Apple devices, you're lucky enough to get a huge number of different voices. So I'll change it to Daniel. I go there, and if I tap on the voice settings option here, I can change the speed, I can change the pitch, I can change the volume, and the pause is the amount of time that it stops at the end of the sentence. So let me just change the speed up to 50%, and I'll test that. There's a test triangle in there as well.
Press the play button to test your voice settings.
Okay, so we can hear it's a little bit normal pace now. So you can send it up to the point where I can never understand it, which is 100%, which if I do that now, okay, and then if I bring it back down to 55, press again.
Press the play button to test your voice settings.
Okay, hopefully that's not too fast for everybody. So that's now set, and then I can come back, and then I'll back into the audio settings. So we do have the option in here to change the pronunciation. So we have what we call lexicon or pronunciation editor. So at the moment I've made one. So typically towns names and people's names come out incorrectly, sometimes dinosaurs. So if you find it particularly distracting, perhaps you don't want to hear the RNIB described as RNIB, then you can get it to say RNIB, or if the particular this case, I've already made one, so if I just go on edit, sometimes Daniel used to mispronounce the word Swindon, he used to say Swindon. So what I did in here is I changed it, so in the top I put the original word Swindon, okay, and then underneath I typed SWIN space DUN, so it comes out as Swindon. There we go. So you have to sort of misspell it phonetically, so it's not perfect, but it's better than the mispronunciation that came before. Okay, so I've just brought those down, and then it comes back there. So if I press play now, we should hear Daniel at the slightly faster pace. Whoops.
Scheme to be used only by a print disabled person, except as permitted by law. It may not be further copied, nor may it be supplied to any other person, without permission. This document is digitally...
Okay, so I think what I'd like to do is actually navigate to a particular part of a book. So if it's a reference book, then you don't want to be able to listen to it from the top to the bottom to find the element that you're looking for. So there's a number of ways that you can narrow down your search. In the bottom left-hand corner, okay, we've got the books which are stacked up. So if I touch on that one, it brings up the book navigation menu. And in here, we can see the headings for the history boys. We can see the different elements, and some of them are at different levels. So if I was to tap on Act 1, then it will take me straight to that part in the book.
Act 1.
If I tap it again, there's other, so if I want to go back to the introduction, then it does this exactly the same. So it takes me quickly through the navigation of the heading structure of the book itself. Adjacent to that, there's another tab, which is pages, which I'm going to tap now. So this book doesn't have any pages in, but if they were, they would be listed there, and then you could tap one of the page numbers and it would take you to that particular part. A lot of books I've seen in here have got page numbers. And then adjacent to that, we've got bookmarks, and we'll come back to that in a second, because I'll show you how to make a bookmark. But if you have bookmarks for this particular book, they would be listed here. So I'll just tap on close. And the top left-hand corner adjacent to your bookshelf is the search box. So what I'm going to do is just tap that, and it pops up a little search box. So let's look for the word. I can see it in the background there, called. C.
Capitals A-L-L-E-D.
So all the instances of that particular word have now appeared on the screen. and it gives me a percentage of where they are in the book. So I'm randomly going to tap on this one here. Okay, and it takes me through to that particular part. So it will look for the part of the word as well. Sometimes it gets a little bit out. It could be above or below, which is in this particular case. If it isn't the point that I was interested in, then I can tap here again, and my search is still available. So I'll look at a different part, right? And then I can get to that there. Now, if this is my book on nuclear fission, and I want to come back to this particular part again without having to do that search, here's that bookmark option that I mentioned earlier. It's next to the search on the top toolbar on the left-hand side. So I'm going to tap on it, and it's put a bookmark in there. And before I move, I'm going to tap it again, and it's popped up the bookmark box. So here, if I wish, I can make some text notes. So I'll randomly just put some text in there, and underneath there, I can see audio note. So I'm going to tap that in and say something completely random. And then I'll go back to play it and say something completely random. So now I've made a text and an audio note for this particular position in the book, and I'll click on save. Right, so if I come to the paragraph before and then click on play, we'll hear
David. Overnight.
We heard a ping that we'd gone over a bookmark. Just as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to tap in the bottom left-hand corner for book navigation, and I'm still in my bookmark tab, and now I can see that the notes that I made are available for me here, and also I can click on the play triangle and it's going to play me that mark. You can make a bookmark per sentence or paragraph in this particular book. You can make as many as you wish. It's a great way of being able to reference particular parts of the book that you need to do for revision, or perhaps an essay. You can come back to them later. So I think the best way to do that is if I go and find somewhere else in the book, and I'll just tap there, bring up that again and go back to my bookmark. It will take me back to that location, plays the ping. So I've got that available there as well. So this is an EPUB, but I did mention the PDFs, and that's a slightly different reading experience. So if I go back to my bookshelf, and in there, I'm going to look at my books. Okay, and here's the books that I've ever downloaded. And I can see that some are EPUB and some of them are PDF. So I'm just going to tap on Math Frameworking, right, which is a PDF. It'll take a little bit longer to load because the books tend to be bigger. So on first loading it, you'll see that if I increase the size of the text, it doesn't word wrap the text. Okay, I now have a left and right experience of being able to read. If I was to tap on a particular part and then go for reading.
Angles in a diagram from the information given. Unknown angles are usually shown by letters, such as A, B, C.
Okay, we can see that it doesn't track when it's actually being read out if the text is larger than the screen size, or the line is larger than the screen size. So there is a way around that, but before we do that, let me show you this. The reading experience is not vertical, it's horizontal. It's a bit like a Kindle. You flick left and right to go to the next and to the previous page. I'll go back. Okay, it looks like I was towards the end of the book there. All right, and then I'll increase the size of the text so you can see again. It does stay not, the text stays nice and clear and the graphics are clear, but you're losing some of those elements. So in the top right-hand corner of Easy Reader, there is a horizontal ellipsis. So if I was to tap on that, then I can see the top option there is switch to text view. And what it's done now is it's stripped the text, not the images, out of that PDF, and it syncs the position that I was in the PDF now. So now I do have a vertical reading experience. So I sort of need the maths images to make this more pertinent. But if you get to a point and you think, actually, I don't understand that, perhaps I'll go back, you can. If you switch back to PDF view, okay, it will take you back to that part back in the the image-based PDF so that you can view it there as well. Okay. So quickly back into the bookshelf menu. Underneath the different libraries, then we have my newspapers, we have my clipboard text. So if I just tap on that, I can cut and copy text from somewhere else in the device, any other application. So when I copy that text, when I click on the plus button, which is in the top right-hand corner, then the text will appear here. Here's something I did earlier, and we can see that it's coming in the same color, style, headings, text size and font that I'm using elsewhere as well. So if I wish to read it in a different format without changing that application, then I can do that here as well. Okay, so I see there's a question. So the question is, can students assign books to themselves during the time, or do teachers still have to assign? Stacy, I think that's for you.
Yeah, so if a student is using RNIB Bookshare, they can download the book directly themselves. So they would just search for the title, click download, pick the format that they want, and the book would download straight for them. Okay,
super. So just to emphasize that, and also there's the top item here be my reading list, which might be the books which has been assigned to them as well. So if I tap on that one, okay, reading list, we'll see the list of the books that have been assigned to the particular student. Okay, so quickly, does anybody have any more questions that they want to just tap in? While you're doing that, I'll just finish off with Easy Reader. So there is a small difference between this, the Android and the Apple app. Okay, so if I go back to this one, okay, so in the Android, you'll find in the top right-hand corner, there's an import button. So if you downloaded an EPUB with a different application, then you can import them here. And in Apple, you do that slightly differently. I believe you tap on the file and tell it to open in Easy Reader. Having done that, it will import it into your book list. And then you'll be able to use it every time. So you won't have to continue to do that as well. Someone's typed in questions. Let me have a look there. So Amy says, I'm seeing DAISY text format. Is this a different style again? Yeah, it's a really good question. I should have covered that, Amy. So the DAISY has originally come from RNIB reading services, where there's a lot of DAISY books. And they tend to be audio only. Is that a fair assumption, Stacy?
So the reading services, they're typically audiobooks, but they wouldn't be available through RNIB Bookshare.
Okay, so yeah, absolutely, good point. So you'll see it on there because I was demonstrating it to somebody a couple of days ago, how they could get an audio book on there. So you get a different way of reading. It uses the audio of the book itself. RNIB Bookshare is all about textbooks. It's another good thing is because the audio books can be quite large in file size as well. So someone says, I know it's possible to open PDF books that have been obtained from elsewhere, but is it possible to open EPUBs? So I think that's the other way around, Susan. So you can open EPUBs that have been from somewhere else. You can't open PDFs in Easy Reader that have not come from RNIB Bookshare. You could, of course, open them in Adobe Reader, or there are a number of other ways to open a PDF. But yes, you can import any EPUB that you have on the device into Easy Reader. Nicholas says, on RNIB Bookshare, is it possible to download Braille books into a Braille notebook? For you, Stacy.
So if we can ingest two types of file onto RNIB Bookshare, so that's PDF and EPUB. So a PDF can only be downloaded as a PDF, but an EPUB can be downloaded in a variety of different accessible formats, such as DAISY Audio, DAISY Text, Microsoft Word, and the other one is a BRF file, so a Braille Ready file. the short answer is yes, you can open the file as a Braille file. The quality of that file will depend on the source file. So the original book that has come from the publisher, the way that has been structured in terms of headings and layout, that will very much be reflected in the Braille output. So in an ideal world, we would have you know, a host of you know, hundreds of people that could alter all of those books and make them beautiful so that they would work really, really well as Braille, but we don't have the resources for that. So yes, it's doable, and it's very easy to do, but some books will come out better than others.
So a couple more questions. So I'll roll this into one, and they're both for you, Stacey. So Leanne asks, do you cover university students? And on the same context, Robert asks, as a university, if we grant students access to RNIB Bookshare to use themselves, we can't ensure that we own a copy of it in the library. Would this be a problem?
So it's a very interesting question. So on the first part, yes, absolutely. It's for university students. It's for anybody of any age, as long as they have a print disability. On the second question, so this is a very interesting one. So if a learner is downloading the book for themselves as their final accessible copy, they do not need to own prior work. So they don't need to own a copy of that book. If you are a staff member and you are downloading on behalf of a learner, then your institution does need to own a copy of that book. So if you are a university, for example, as is in that question, if you add your learners and you give them independent access, then as long as they are doing it themselves, you don't need to own a copy of the book.
Okay, thank you, Stacey. So I have another one here. Somebody asked, how would a student using enlarged print, e.g. font size 48, best access smaller print of the Easy Reader app and navigate around? So there's two answers to that. So firstly, if I just go back to my EPUB, all right, which is the History Boys, but the book actually comes in the small size text, and then you increase the size of the text to the point of where the user can actually see it. So I suspect that's considerably larger. So I've just got the words called you. That would be font size 60 something, I should imagine. So you can put that on there if you wish. Okay. So as for the small font of Easy Reader, then you can use the accessibility which is on the device. So there is a magnifier on there, or you can use the excellent voiceover, all right, to actually navigate round, or talkback, which is on the Android device. So either of those is possible, but that's one of the reasons that I mentioned that you can tap in a particular location, because a lot of people find that useful. So Peter asks, I'm a uni student, and I guess some of the PDF books I download must be quite large. When I try to open these in eReader, it says they are too large to open. Is this because my phone I'm using? Thanks. Yeah, I know the answer to that one. We've put a limit on the pages of the PDF, Pete. So we're about to make a release, I think it's next month, where we've actually extended that. The original thinking was that some of the books were so large they slowed the device up, which is what you're hinting at and is correct. Some of the older devices, it actually struggled to have the whole of the book open and doing that. So when we follow up this with the video and the resources, I'll get the number of pages of the book limit is at the moment and what we plan to do in the future sent on that email for you as well. So the questions are coming in thick and fast. This is excellent. Amy asks, can you delete books from the list when you finish with them? Yes, should have covered that, Amy. Let's go back to my book list and then go to my books. Okay, and let's go there. So the history books is the top one, but it can be anywhere. So if I just drag it across to the right-hand side, I'll see the word delete appeared. And if I tap on that, it asks me, do I want to get rid of the book? Yes, no, and it's gone. Okay. I think I think I got to the end of those. Oh yes, Nicola says, can we create reading lists for our students? Did I ask that one already?
No, I don't think you did, but yes, you absolutely can create reading lists.
Okay, super. Right, let me just switch back the camera so you've got me rather than the app. So I've already mentioned that we'll be sending you the video from today. Oh, there's one more question from Julia. It says, is there a limit to how many books you can download, Stacey?
There's currently a limit, I believe it's 100 books per person, and that's on a rolling 30-day basis. But if you find that you're going over that limit, please do just get in contact with us, and we can have a discussion about it and increase that if needed.
Perfect. And again, a further question from Christine. What is the situation regarding sensory support services in terms of having to own a hard copy of the book? The sensory service would like to own a copy of the book, the school would. Does that mean that the sensory team would not download books on their students' behalf? Okay, so I presume you carry on.
Sorry, Steve. So it's just to clarify that in order to own a copy of a book, it doesn't have to necessarily be a hard copy. It could also be a digital copy as well. So for example, if you downloaded it from Amazon, that would count as you owning a copy of that book. I just mentioned that because quite often that's a very more cost efficient way of accessing books. So if you are a sensory support team and you are downloading on behalf of a student, then yes, you would need to own a copy of that book in some form.
Two more. What is the approximate waiting time for requested books? Asked Leanne.
It's a very good question. It can vary, to be honest. We like to try and get it returned within a maximum of 4 weeks, but it very much depends on how responsive the publisher is. So some publishers will come straight back to us and we will always put the book immediately on the site. And some publishers, we have to nag a little bit and nudge them and say, you know, can we have this book? We've already asked you. So it very much depends on the publisher, but we would always aim to do it as soon as possible.
And then Alant says to me, hi, can we upload other texts such as worksheets from schools? In what format could they be saved to allow them to read by text wrapping? Okay, so that's sort of talking, that's not an RNIB service at the moment, Stacey, is that correct?
You can, we do have education scanning volunteers, so they would basically sign in and you can upload books to RNIB Bookshare, and they would come to my team, who they go into a certain queue called the approval queue. So my team then check them against publishers that we work with and make sure that those are publishers that are happy to have the content shared on RNIB Bookshare. So it is possible to volunteer basically and upload books to RNIB Bookshare. I think you can do that in PDF and EPUB, I believe, but I'm not too clear on the text wrapping element of it.
So from Dolphin's point of view, and yeah, we will be releasing a plugin for Word very shortly where you can quickly make EPUBs from any worksheet if you wish, and that'd be it. So that will have a cost and it will plug into the toolbar of Word, but we'll make an announcement about that over the next week or so. Okay, hopefully I've got everybody's questions. So those were some really good questions. I'm just going to repeat what I said a little bit earlier. We're going to send you the video. We're going to send you some resources as well, and hopefully I'll cover that question over the size of the PDF books in there as well. So that may come tomorrow or the day after, and it'll be a link to the video. Please feel free to pop it on to anybody else you feel that would benefit from it yourselves as well. So from me, thank you so much, and from Stacy.
Yes, thank you, everyone. It's been great to have so many questions and such engagement. I'd just like to make a request. If you are a student or you know a student who is using RNIB Bookshare and it's helpful, then we would love to have your feedback and your stories, because those really help to bring on publishers and encourage other people to use it. And if you do need any help or support, then please feel free to reach out to us.
Super. Okay, so on the screen now is my email address and Stacy's, also the RNIB Bookshare address, and the one that you can see the Dolphin app, or you can just click in the Play Store or the App Store, and then you can download it from there. Really appreciate your time, everybody, and I hope it's a benefit. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks all. Take care.
Bye-bye.